Well, Emmerson Mnangagwa is Zimbabwe's second president since the country's independence.
Well, we know that the road to unity and economic recovery in Zim is going to be a long one. Joining us now to discuss some of this is Terry Mhungu. He used to be SRC president at the University of Zimbabwe and also the first fierce critic of the former regime under Robert Mugabe. Terry, good morning. Thank you very much for coming in.
Absolutely.
I just want to start the conversation here with the point that our colleague Aldrin Sampier made in his Prepare That Package to say, now that Mnangagwa is in, his biggest challenge is to keep the country united, or to unite the country and the party that he leads. Do you think Mnangagwa is the man to bring about unity in Zim?
I'm optimistic. I think he has managed to outmaneuver his opponents within the ruling ZANU-PF. He has managed to legitimize the takeover in an election that I would like to imagine was free, fair, and credible. Of course, more international observers are to come to the fore, but the other presidential candidates have pronounced that, look, you know, the election was, for the most part, free, fair, and credible. That, in my judgment, with the inaugural speech that he has put forward, the economic reform program, the zero corruption message he is putting forward, the reaching out to the international community, the United Kingdom, the US, EU, and the Aussie governments. I think those are the right gestures, certainly the right kind of lexicon to get everybody around the campfire, from the opposition within the ruling ZANU-PF itself, to reconsider and at least instill some confidence into the Second Republic.
Terry, I mean, how much of a task do you see ahead of him in terms of undoing what the Mugabe regime of which he was a part, and was part of those decisions as well, and how much sort of confidence or credibility does he bring with him because of that association, especially when you talk about opening up the doors to Western countries who were badmouthed by Mugabe for the longest time? He's got to make do, he's got to patch over those relations, doesn't he?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a mammoth task that he has. Having been part of the ruling ZANU-PF as a junior minister, as a senior minister and vice president, of course makes the task even harder. But I think those who know the man know the similarities between Robert Mugabe and Emmerson Mnangagwa. They both have prodigious memories. Robert Mugabe tended to look backwards in order to make decisions for the future. Emmerson tends to look forward. And I think you're going to find a president who is going to appeal to the better angels in our nature, who is going to go to his protagonists, to his foes and friends, and say, let's usher in a Second Republic indeed. What he has done over the last 7 months, I think, has been to open up the political space like we have never seen in Zimbabwe before. You saw a formidable challenge from Nelson Chamisa. And 44% of the presidential vote is not a small number. The rallies he managed to pull up, all that happened without a spirit of intimidation, without the usual Central Intelligence, military involvement in political activity. I think that's the first gesture that he has put forward to the Zimbabwean people. The desire to open a transparent society, government, and a smaller government, more efficient government. I think he is opening up to a new dispensation in which, if the private sector is the centerpiece of the future, patronage politics is going to die. And those around him will know this. And I think this enhances his credibility as somebody who's serious about putting the economy forward.
Talking about the economy, of course, we know it's going to be a huge journey, as you've said, in terms of recovery. I mean, unemployment rates are very high in Zimbabwe. How, if you were advising Mnangagwa, how would you think he should approach that recovery? We saw him as soon as he came on, he said Zimbabwe is now open for business, and he also sent the right messages around land issues to the farmers. What else do you think he should be focusing on to drive the Zimbabwean, to reignite the Zimbabwean economy?
I think it's absolutely critical that he shows seriousness in fighting corruption. The manner in which he got into power was unorthodox in lots of ways. And some of his allies are people who are known to be themselves involved in corruption. Being able to rid himself of some of that baggage, I think, will be a crucial indicator of his seriousness on this matter. I think, secondly, he has got to show seriousness in reducing government expenditure. On $19 billion plus in public and national debt, the country is in serious problems. I think 10 provinces, the country is over-administered. I think we need to go back to the 5 provinces we had in 1980 when we took independence.
So, Terry, I mean, we know now what Emmerson Mnangagwa has to do, what he should be doing. Let's talk about the MDC very quickly. I mean, what would be the next best move for Nelson Chamisa and his team? I mean, try and work with Emmerson Mnangagwa, pursue challenging these results. What would you advise would be the next move forward?
I think Nelson Chamisa needs to consult international observers that participated in this process. It wasn't just the MDC. There were other presidential candidates. There were other stakeholders in this whole process. Consult them to check the veracity of this electoral process. And I think when he finds that the process for the most part was free and fair, he needs to go and regroup. The alliance itself was a loose-knit alliance of political friends within the MDC alliance. I mean, that's what cost him the election. If you added Coupe and his votes, they had a decent chance of challenging Emmerson Mnangagwa. I think they need to regroup. They need to reposition. For the most part, ED has stolen the thunder out of the MDC. The 8 most critical attributes he brings to an economic reform process right now are the very issues that the MDC based their opposition on. And you remember MDC stalwart Eddie Cross mentioned that, look, in fact, we have our very best chance right now under ED. But I think he tacitly acknowledged the fact that the MDC has lost some of its wind on account of the changes that have happened in the new dispensation.
I guess regrouping would also mean for them to re-strategize. Thank you very much, Terry, for your insights, as usual, here on EN. So that's Terry Mhungu sharing with us some of the insights post the inauguration of Emmerson Mnangagwa yesterday as the incoming president of Zimbabwe.
Only time will tell whether he can pull it all off. But coming up with your sport in just a little bit, Michael McKenna.